Hello, friends. Welcome into the Shot Callers Esports Studios. Eric Kummel here with Mark Horner for 5v5 Live on a special Valentine's Day afternoon on a Wednesday. Mark got the memo. He wore red. I wore gray because that's the color of my heart.
See, the only time I was thinking about gray is when I'm in the gray screen simulator zone being killed.
10 times a game, at least.
That's
the
feeding.
LCK and the LPL are both off this week. They don't have any games.
They take Valentine's that seriously?
They take it that seriously.
Crazy.
It's a holiday. It's a week-long holiday over there. So we're going to hand out some Valentines to some of these guys from the LCK and LPL. We're also going to play a little bit of matchmaker, some Cupid action, because it's Valentine's Day on a hump day. You got to celebrate.
Got to do something.
Got to celebrate. But first, there's some signings around the league, starting off with H2K, which is just a massive debacle and mess of an organization. Now they've signed Shook to the jungle because Cadril, that one-week experiment, did not work in the jungle. So Shook is coming back. It's been a little while since we've seen him. We last saw him playing on NIP.
Oof, that was quite a bit ago. This is definitely something where we talked about H2K and the absolute bona fide dumpster fire that they were looking like last week with Cadril in the jungle. Just not sure what they were even thinking they were trying to do. Now we start to see a better decision made here. Getting Shook in to play with Selfie and the rest of the team, I think is definitely a step up. Now, the question is Shook going to be any better than, what Santorin would have possibly brought to this roster with how passive he was playing this split? Yes, he was playing better than Cadril, but I don't know if it's going to be better than what Shook will bring to this team. I think that this is a good pickup for H2K and finally a positive move for this franchise.
Yeah, and I mean, we're many years removed from when Shook was thought of as the best jungler in EU back on Alliance, when they won the 2014 summer split. He's hopped around to a few different teams, but I mean, there's still no questioning the talent that this guy has. Obviously, he's going to be an upgrade over a guy who's playing his off role in the jungle. Maybe he's going to be more proactive than Santorin. He might feed his face off some of these games, but I think a move like this might net them 2 wins.
Yeah, risk reward. I think that this is at least a proactive move, right? This is definitely something, and one that you can actually say, there's some logic behind this one, right? This one probably, I'm not guaranteeing, probably won't fall flat on its face.
Shook will try and make some plays. They just might not work out sometimes. The SKT MaRin rumors are dead for now. It's announced MaRin is joining the LPL again after he was there with LGD for a bit. He came back to Korea. Now he's back to China playing on Top Gaming. You probably haven't heard of them. Why? Because they're 0-7, probably the worst team in the league. So it looks like MaRin's looking for a payday.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. MaRin is just looking to cash out. I think someone was saying that MaRin said, no, I want to go to a top team, not Top Gaming. So this is
miscommunication.
Definitely going to be something to see. I don't know why. You had a nice kind of, not retirement, but you were taking a little break here in spring, and all of a sudden, let me go play for an 0-7 team. Questionable decision, but MaRin is definitely looking to just pick up some cash. And you know what? To say for his play, what they're going to be getting, you're getting one of the better top laners, arguably, in the world right now, but someone who has been, spending time off this split, who could be coming in quite rusty, and again, has no type of, synergy built in or type of, coordination with the rest of this team. So it's definitely an interesting decision made by Top Gaming and MaRin himself to join them, but one that I think we can definitely all say is mostly made for money.
Yeah, and if you're looking at Top Gaming, I can only think the only reason that they would assign him is just to have someone interested in their team, because I mean 0-7 struggling on the split. I don't think even bringing in MaRin, who's been not at the level we've seen before in the last couple splits with Africa, he's not going to completely turn this team around. So for Top, it's just to bring in a little bit of a fan base, and MaRin, I think it's a great training grounds for him, because I think he's going to be coming back in 2018 summer, and you're not going to get on a good team halfway through the split unless they're really struggling. Even SKT seems to have kind of committed more so to Tall going forward. So, I mean, MaRin, nice training grounds for summer, and you're going to get paid a hefty sum. Good call.
Yeah, definitely not a bad decision. Not one that you can throw any type of hate on. MaRin, go get paid, buddy.
go get paid. It is Valentine's Day, as we mentioned. So we've got to acknowledge some of the players who have this week off in the LCK and LPL for having fantastic starts in 2018 and really some fantastic careers. They get the GG with the heart. They're the honored players for the whatever extra. Yeah. Not tilt proof, not great teamwork, just great guys.
And we're not buying those crappy, sugar wafered kind of candies that you get.
Those are terrible.
Those are awful. No, we're spending full out for the truffle type of chocolate. We're getting these guys some
Ferrero Rocher?
Oh yeah, we're getting these guys some real deal treats.
That good stuff. Let's start off in the LCK. Our first Valentine, our first stud is the man, the myth, the legend, Teddy. People are already saying maybe he's the best player in the LCK. I mean, you look at some of his stats, they're pretty insane, leading the league in a couple categories. His team has not looked that great in some of these matchups, but I mean, there's no doubt he's the best player on that squad. Probably the best AD in the LCK.
I think right now you can't look any further than Teddy for the best ADC in the LCK. His numbers absolutely back it up. This guy is a farming machine. He's had some of the most incredible CS numbers, and he's been outputting some incredible damage on some of the carries that he's been playing. Teddy has absolutely looked the part as the best AD carry so far in LCK, and that's why he's getting one of our Valentine's treats.
And I mean, with a name like Teddy, how can he not be a pick on Valentine's Day? You already know what to get him. You get him a teddy bear.
His name is Teddy. He's got to be a sweetheart. You know you're wanting to pick up Teddy for this one. Love the action that he's brought so far. Keep it up, man.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe in 2018 summer, he's going to a better contender in the LCK. It's hard to say,
who
but
knows?
I mean, he's played a bunch of different champions. He's got beautiful glasses. We've seen him with long hair. We've seen him with short hair. He works at both. Teddy is a fantastic Valentine to have on a beautiful day like today.
Yeah, Teddy, we love you, brother. Keep it up.
We love you very much. Second guy from the LCK is a guy who hasn't even played in every game this split, but he has been an absolute animal, and that is Kingzone's Khan. I mean, this would be a first pick if you were doing a draft in the LCK, probably. First overall pick, 7.7 KDA, highest CS difference at 15. Not just among top laners, among everyone. 5 solo kills, a pentakill, and by the way, Kingzone's 12-0 when this guy's in the lineup.
Okay. If Khan decides to be your Valentine, that's like getting Kate Upton to say, I'm going to be your Valentine.
Look at that smile.
This
oh my God.
Is an absolute stud, star, any way you want to put it, just dominating in the top lane. And then he comes down for the rest of the game and says, no, I want all these kills also for myself. He is a fantastic League of Legends player and one that I know that we are lucky to see play. Have loved seeing him in the LCK. Khan, Valentine's treat for you, big guy.
Yeah, and I mean, when he's in the lineup, Kingzone looks like a almost unbeatable team. In fact, they are unbeatable. He's even styling on guys with this ribbon stopwatch.
Using the stopwatch. Says it's the button slip. Nah, that's bad manners, but it's all okay because you get the kill anyways.
You know what's key to have in a Valentine is style.
Oh, yeah.
You got to look for the style. You got to look for cool, calm, collected. Khan's got all of that. He's someone you want on your arm.
Hey,
going through Valentine's.
Khan, no shame in that pick. Love it.
Let's jump over to the LPL. There's a lot of teams in the LPL, and unfortunately, MaRin just missed out on the cut on this one, even though he hasn't played a single game. We have seen him in some sweet gear from Top Gaming, but he's not quite getting a Valentine this year. Let's start off in the bottom lane with our boy iBoy, who stars in the prequel to iRobot with Will Smith. We're talking about iBoy. Leads the LPL in kill participation as an 80 carry.
Crazy.
Which is absolutely insane. Highest damage percentage. I mean, he looks super good in that EDG jacket.
Oh, yeah.
He's looking classy, got a great haircut, and I mean, this guy is such a young talent on the scene, and he's only got an even brighter future. That's a fantastic Valentine to have.
Absolutely, and this is definitely one that, when you talk about iBoy, who you're looking for in your Valentines, well, some people want the bad boy. And when I think of iBoy, I remember him, BMing bad manners right into Faker's face at Worlds. This is the bad boy that we like, iBoy, and he has been an absolute bad boy, picking up these kills in the LPL. Great performance so far, helping him earn some of that sweet Valentine's chocolate.
Yeah, and he's EDG sitting at 5-1 in the LPL, and I mean, even going back to Worlds. He put up a fantastic performance there, even though EDG underperformed a little bit. And how can you not love this guy when he does interviews like this? Give me the mic, Shocks. Give me it. Let me talk.
Definitely an absolute cutie. Boy, we love ya. Keep it up, my man.
He doesn't even need to utter any words to win over fans across the globe. Whether it's a Valentine's Day card, some cruddy chocolates, some fancy chocolates, some Ferrero Rochers, boy, you've earned some stuff.
With a bowl cut like boys for sure. He's definitely getting some more Valentine's cards from all them honeys over in China himself.
He works the bowl cut. That's what I'm going to say. Got another bot lane buddy in the LPL, and that is PYL, which might seem like a very interesting choice. I mean, LGD, a middle tier, okay team. PYL's numbers don't jump out at you, but you know, one of the most important aspects you want in a Valentine is loyalty and commitment. And this young man has been on LGD since 2012. Over half a decade, 6 years. If that's not loyalty and commitment, I don't know what is.
Over half a decade in esports world time is like
30 years.
That's centuries. That's forever. Yeah. This guy honoring the big time commitment, absolutely what you want. They put the ring on it. This guy, PYL, loving it. Commitment to the team, getting the Valentines.
He's been through multiple 80 carries in that bottom lane. He's been with Imp for a little while now, but I mean, this guy, in a region where substitutes seem to happen
all the time,
any point in any season, this guy's pretty much always been the mainstay support for LDG through the tough times when they were a terrible team, when they're going to Worlds. This guy has been through it all. There's no one more reliable, and there's no one better to pick you up when you're down. Look at that smile. Even when he has braces, that smile is still beautiful. PYL on LGD, that is something that you want to have.
Hey, all worthy candidates to pick up some Valentines and some nice chocolates.
LPL and LCK, enjoy your week off. I hope you're enjoying. Not too much chocolate, because you got to come back next week. But some well-deserved Valentines there. Plenty of other guys to choose from. It's been a pretty wild season in the LCK and the LPL. Quick shout out to Snake Esports.
Oh yeah, love me some Snake Esports.
Are at the top of the standings in LPL 6-1. People not really expecting that, I'm sure, but they're looking pretty solid, as well as EDG. And RNG's down a little bit in the LPL, but
hey, they still have time. And they still have Uzi.
They still have Uzi if he's ever actually gonna play a game.
Play him.
Yeah, but that'll be back next week, LPL and LCK. We still got some Valentine's Day action though, don't you worry. We're gonna play a little bit of matchmaker here. We're gonna take on the role of Cupid. And, you know, kind of pair some players with teams that just seem like a perfect match. And the first one I'm going to go with is our boy Dardoch, going back to Team Liquid for a third time. And here's the reason why. Right now, Dardoch's actually performing super well. He's actually an MVP contender, and Team Liquid is actually a team looking to be good. And they're really willing to shell the money out for it. So if I'm Cupid, I'm shooting an arrow on Dardoch on Liquid to bring a reunion back, because we know one of the main problems in love is always going back to an ex, that on again, off again relationship, and that just screams Dardoch and Team Liquid.
See, now if I'm playing matchmaker, you know, there's two ways I can go. One, you know, I really want to help someone who's been down on their luck, not able to find that right partner to get them, you know, to the promised land of where they need to be. So I'd be using my Cupid's arrow and striking Faker and sending him right over to Team Solo Mid so they can finally get out of groups at Worlds and advance onwards. Because right now it looks like that might be the only way that they're getting there with Faker. But if I'm being serious, there'd be definitely two bromances that I'd want to be bringing back into the LCS, and that would be having Huni and Reignover back together. Those guys absolutely love each other and need to be with each other. One of the best bromances, and of course, the original bromance in the LCS. I need to see Sneaky and Meteos back together. The Burrito Bros need to be together. It's right. It's what we all want to see, right?
Yeah, hearing the Meteos Sneaky fan fiction always brings a tear to my eye. If I'm shooting another arrow and we're looking for you know, something familiar. That's what people love in relationships, is going back to something familiar. Well, the Golden Guardians look like they're ready to lose and be one of the worst teams in the LCS. So if you're looking for something familiar to pair with that, why not bring on Don't Mash Me and Chris? They're kind of guys who are too good for that challenger scene, accustomed to being the bottom of that LCS. So bring them on over to Golden Guardians. Maybe that's the changeup you need going forward. Spoilers, it's not.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking, you know, with one win already, Golden Guardians, not a lot of people are looking to be your Valentines, so you might be stuck just eating, you know, going over to Shoppers and buying all that chocolate that's been waiting to be sold the day after Valentine's Day and eating that one. That's what I think is waiting for the Golden Guardians.
Yeah, now that is also a very valuable lesson, is to wait not only just Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween, Christmas.
Any holiday.
Wait a week or so after the holiday and get all that good stuff on sale. That's the way to do it.
Doesn't expire.
Well,
What? It's chocolate. Chocolate?
It definitely expires.
That's fake.
Just turned to mush. It's not fake news. That's the truth. If you have 5-year-old chocolate and you're not freezing it, don't eat it, man. Don't eat it. Bad things will happen. Enough nonsense. Let's get to week 5. In the LCS, plenty of juicy matchups in both NA and EU. Let's look at the EU board first, because we got a battle at the top. Vitality taking on G2. That is going to be a massive test for them. That's the must-watch game of the week in EU for sure. You also got a bunch of 4-4 squads. We're going to see who's a contender, who's a pretender. I feel like I've said that 10 times already, this split. Schalke Fnatic, Misfits, they look like a bit of a hot mess going up against G2. And then Splice, are they for real or not? They're taking on Fnatic. A lot of good matchups there.
Definitely some really strong ones to see this week in EU. And it's, again, one thing that we've really been wanting to see are finally some of these matches and these matchups that will tell us who is better than the other. Because right now with best of ones, it is so hard to get a good read on that. And so finally we're going to start to see some of these rematches coming in and some of these teams that now we know, where they're kind of slotting in as far as power rankings and things like that. And now seeing the results that come from that. And I think when you're talking about at the very top, Vitality G2 is absolutely a match that I am so excited to see, because when you're looking at who's playing, well, it's Vitality, you have Jiizuke, Minitroupax. This has been one of the most explosive teams to watch, and then you have characters like Gilius on this team, and it's definitely one that I love to watch and see how far Vitality really can push it. And then on the other side, the kings of Europe. You gotta have G2 if you gotta take down G2 if you want to be winning Europe. And Vitality definitely has their sights set on that. I like the upstarts into this matchup. I think Vitality will take down G2.
Yeah, and the trash talking that's gonna come out of this game is gonna be absolutely fantastic. I mean, Vitality really, they've been tested a few times. That Roccat game was just I don't know what to call that. But I mean, even the game they lost to Misfits, they were pretty much one stolen Baron away from maybe being able to snowball that game. So I mean, this team has looked dominant in the majority of their games. So it is a big question mark to see how they do against G2, who have definitely been playing much better the last couple of weeks, looking more like the team we expected them to be. But I mean, Wonder and Perks are the main 2 carries here on this squad, and Minitroupax and Jack Troll might have their way against Hjarnan and Wadid in that bottom lane. I mean, they're playing Ziggs AD carry.
Yeah. They're breaking out all the stops.
Bot lane duo.
And I want to see, and that's the point, if G2 is going to find a way to win this game, it's going to have to be from their bot lane having a better performance than they've had so far. Yes, they did pick up that 2-0 week last week, but this is definitely the week that they need to show a stronger performance in picking up these wins. They didn't look all that convincing in the victories that they did pick up this past week, so definitely looking for a more complete effort from G2 if they're going to take down the top dogs in Vitality.
Yeah, they were down a lot of that game against Schalke, and I mean, that was a great duel between Perks and Nukeduck in that game. Perks getting the old one-shot, basically, on
Nuke and Nukeduck.
Through minions. A fun champion. Thanks, Riot. But yeah, we'll see.
Balanced champion.
Balanced champion. This is going to be a statement game for G2. Let's run through some of these other 4-4 matchups. We talked about Schalke. We've seen moments with this team where you're like, okay, this could definitely be a top contender in the EU LCS, and the same to some extent to Fnatic. I mean, Fnatic has looked, again, much like G2, a lot better the last couple of weeks. Reckless and Hylissang are looking much better. And, you know, Hylissang had an interesting interview saying Reckless, most talented AD carry he's played with, but also the most difficult to work with in that bottom lane. But they are making strides, so that's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely something that was interesting to hear, but one that you hear that, again, that they are making these strides, and it's one of the things that you could see in the performance from Fnatic this past weekend. But when you're bringing up Schalke, I think that they almost had it, right? They almost had it against G2, just, you know, overextending a little bit at certain times, and, you know, part of that, I would put the blame on the meta of the game, of how it lets things stall out. Some of these neutral objectives don't quite give off the power buffs that you want to have towards the later part of these games when people are scaled up to end it. You just didn't have that. But I think that against Fnatic, Schalke is definitely going to be up tough, because this Fnatic team is starting to really figure things out and perform at the level that everyone would expect from them and have built off of from their performance at last year's Worlds.
Yeah, and you know, talking about teams, these late games just stalling forever and ever. On the PvE, they're adding changes to both Baron buff and Elder Dragon. They're buffing both of them late game because these teams just can't close out games. So they got to give them a buff on Baron and Elder Dragon, which, you know, is probably fair, because the fact that you've seen multiple times teams have a Baron buff and Elder Dragon and a couple inhibs and they can't close out the game is absolutely ludicrous.
Right, and you know, this is the game we're talking about now, where it's, you know, league of stopwatches and everybody's getting over shields and over heals all over the place. So it's definitely something that I think will, again, this change to the Baron buffs and Elder Dragon buffs towards the later parts of the game will help end things out, and that is something that Schalke could have used against G2, but that's not the case. They weren't able to get it done and close things out, and I think that they're definitely, again, a team that needs to pick up these wins at this point, heading right into this week at the half point of the season, and they're definitely in tough against Fnatic for that part.
Absolutely. Misfits, a team that has been sliding the last couple of weeks.
Wrong direction.
Almost perfect game by Rocket. Again, I'm giving them shout-outs for grabbing that Rift Herald. Not quite a perfect game. They blew a 10K gold lead against Giants, had a rough week 4. Even week 3, they were looking down on the slide. This week, they got G2. That's a good opportunity. Rematch of week 1 with the opening match of the season, where they played a hard-fought game against G2. G2 came away with the win, but this is a chance for Misfits to shut up haters like me and really show that they are a top team in Europe, but I don't think they can do it.
Right. I am somebody who thought that we would see a lot more from the Misfits team, but we really haven't seen that so far this split. And that's something that really is not leading into the performances that anyone really would have expected from the talent that is on the Misfits roster. Now, I think when you mention what they're going to have to bring up and how they're going to have to perform, you're going to have to see better performances from someone like Maxillr. Maxillr had one of the worst weekends in the European LCS last time, and so he's definitely going to have to step up if Misfits want to find a way to a victory.
Yeah, and also the last matchup, Splyce, Fnatic, some more 4-4, or excuse me, Fnatic's 5-3. But Splyce is another team that's kind of, they look great at times, and then other games you're like, what is going on here? The main consistent part has been that bottom lane in Kasing and Kabe. Niski has had some rough games. He looks like a bottom tier mid laner at times, but sometimes he looks decent. It's a tough team to gauge how good they actually are as Splyce.
Right, and I think when you're watching Splyce and what I've seen from them is that they are able to get these kills and pick them up on who they need to, but then they end up overextending and overreaching, and then it turns around at, you know, well, you did get the kill on the mid laner, but now your mid laner and your jungler are also dead. So you've given up more than you actually got in the trade. And I think that that's definitely been one of the major problems for Splyce. And if they're gonna find ways to get victories, they're gonna have to correct that.
Yeah, well, either way, it still takes 4 or 5 weeks, but I think this is a week where you're really gonna start seeing separation from that massive, I mean, it's basically Vitality, 6 teams, yeah, and then H2K, Unicorns of Love. I think we'll start seeing separation here in weeks 5 and 6, and you'll really start seeing who's a legitimate playoff team, who's a legitimate top 3 threat going forward in the EU. But a lot of good matchups this week.
Lots of exciting stuff to watch across the pond.
And it's not just in EU where there's some interesting matchups. NA, I mean, you got some rematches from last week. You see their Clutch TSM, they just played last week. Apollo stole like Barons, Dragons, left, right, and center on Ezreal.
Even stole a red buff.
He's
stealing everything.
Stealing everything. It's a weird turnaround that they're playing back-to-back so quickly. You also got Team Liquid, CLG, Liquid. Both, that's 0-4 last week between those two squads. So see who can bounce back from a tough week. TSM C9, I mean, that's the old rivalry that everyone loves seeing. The two most championships in NA. I guess C9's tied with CLG.
The Svenskeren vengeance match.
Very true. That's the revenge tour continues. I mean, a lot of people have gotten their vengeance on TSM.
Pretty much everybody but
Biofrost. Yeah, everyone but Bio. And then the battle for first place on the Sunday, Echo Fox and Cloud9. If it's anything like their first matchup, that's going to be a spicy one.
That's a must-watch match. That's definitely one you don't want to miss.
Absolutely. Let's start with that C9 TSM matchup because, I mean, again, these guys have played in countless finals. These guys have played in so many marquee matchups in the regular season. But right now, Cloud9 looks like a much better squad. They're firing on all cylinders. Licorice is way overperforming what people were expecting. Oh no, Cloud9 lost the offseason. No contracts, Impact's gone. Wow, maybe this is the end of the C9 era.
Maybe every team needs to lose the offseason if this is how you're going to perform afterwards. Cloud9, absolutely the cream of the crop in NA so far. They've just looked better than every other team. You know, Echo Fox has the same record at 7-1, and yes, Echo Fox has looked dominating in most of their victories as well, but there's just something about the way that Cloud9 has performed that just is the absolute best that we've seen so far this split. And I think that heading into their matchup against TSM, it's going to be extremely interesting because of this idea that you have Svenskeren, you know, this vengeance type of matchup. Think back to the times that C9 has lost to TSM in the finals of the splits, and who's the jungler for TSM most recently for that? Those are all Svenskeren. So it's definitely going to be exciting to see him on the other side of it now in this storied rivalry, and I'm excited to watch this one. And I think that it's going to be Cloud9 continuing their winning trends. TSM, yes, they are looking a lot better, picking up a very decisive and controlling win over CLG last weekend, but that was on the backs of a horrible loss to Clutch Gaming where they had such a great start and just the worst neutral objective control leading to them losing the game later. I expect better from TSM, but I don't think you're going to see it in this matchup against C9. I think it's too strong for them to take down.
I mean, this would be a statement game, and it would be very TSM for them to have a super dominant win over a top team in Cloud9, just for people to be like, oh crap, TSM's actually going to be a solid team. But yeah, I'm hard-pressed to see them doing that. I still think TSM needs some time to kind of figure out what's going on there. And Svenskeren has not been shy about saying how much he likes the atmosphere at Cloud9 more than TSM. I know that's his current team. Of course, he's going to talk them up. But I mean, he's talked about the coaching staff, how players deal with, you know, mistakes in game. There's less egos on Cloud9. Some pretty heavy shots towards TSM in terms of egos and just the coaching staff as a whole.
And definitely one other important factor into this matchup that I think we should be considering is definitely the bot lane. When you look at TSM's with Sven and Mithy, a lot of hype brought in on them, best in the West, and they come in, and their performance has been good. It just has not been great yet. And that's something that you would expect and can demand from a duo like Sven and Mithy and what they've accomplished. But who has been great already? Sneaky and Smoothie have definitely been what I think is the best bot lane so far to start the spring split, and I think that they're going to continue that into their matchup, and it's definitely going to be one that all eyes should be on this one because this is going to be hype.
Definitely going to be hype. TSM's other matchup of the week, they're taking on Clutch Gaming, much like they did in week 4, as we've already alluded to with this debacle of a level 1 that Clutch somehow recovers from, thanks again in part to Apollo stealing every objective on the map. But really, obviously TSM should have won that game.
Oh yeah,
if they secure some smites, it's a pretty routine win.
Yeah, this level 1 happens in any of your solo queue games. This is where you immediately type into chat FF at 15.
There's a lot of question mark things going on.
Yeah, this is over. I don't know why you ever think you can go back there. There's no way to get back in the lane other than that way for Sven and Mithy, and they're always going to have their jungler support there, and then later goes off to the blue buff where Lyra is, AFK farming and gets taken out on his Skarner. Not good performances, but you know who did have it? Apollo. Apollo was fantastic for Clutch Gaming, and a large reason of it was because TSM had such poor control around these neutral objectives, and they were neutral objectives that were important enough to keep Clutch Gaming into it. Now, when you look at a lot of these team fights that were going on for TSM, they were clearly the better team in my opinion on how they performed and how they can play. Now, if they are able to keep everything in mind and are able to control the maps, neutral objectives well, and still play the game that I know that TSM should be able to, they should pick up this win against Clutch Gaming. But this is definitely an important week for Clutch Gaming as they need to be continuing to pick up these wins, and especially against top teams like TSM, it really helps their case for making a playoff push.
Yeah, a couple of 500 teams in this one, but I'm just interested to see how this game plays out without a massive advantage like that at level 1. I mean, Clutch was playing from behind for the first 30 minutes of the game, even with Apollo stealing a couple objectives. And really, outside of those steals, I actually don't think Apollo had that great of a game for Clutch. It was just those Q snipes and true shot barrages. In terms of team fights, I don't think he was that great. I think a lot of that's just due to Ezreal. I still don't like that pick going forward. He's underwhelming in pretty much any game that I watch. But I mean, yeah, we're getting rematches now, and that means we've got established storylines. I think TSM is going to be a little pissed off after their last loss to Clutch, and I think they're going to rebound with a pretty dominant performance in this one.
Well, it's definitely one thing to also keep an eye on for sure is going to be Mike Young's performance. Was not the best, very poor control with his smites and neutral objectives in their first matchup against Clutch, and how much of that is going to be in the back of his mind, right? I know when I'm, playing as a jungler, and if I've screwed up a smite or two in the early part of the game, I know that I'm thinking about that as I'm heading into Baron, at 30 minutes, something like that. I'm thinking, I've already messed up. I don't want to do it again, and then let alone having done that and costing your team a match already is something totally different. I expect Mike Young to be a professional, bounce back, get it out of his head, take it on into a new game, but you never know how the performance might work out after something like that.
I mean, I hope for his sake that something like that isn't going to get into his head because, I mean, this is only the regular season and the spring split. Yeah. If it's getting to you mentally at this point, for a team like TSM that has international aspirations, you're going to be in trouble.
That's for certain.
Trouble. The big match of the week has got to be that Cloud9 Echo Fox, 2 7-1 squads. The last time they played, they were fighting for first place, and it was a spicy one. I feel like I've got to slightly favor Cloud9 in this one just because of how they performed recently. Yeah, Echo Fox also has looked solid, but I mean, Cloud9 has shown more so than in recent years when it was just the Jensen show. They can win from advantages in every single lane.
Now, see, for me, it's all going to come down to one decision. Does Cloud9 ban out Dardoch's Zac? That is what I think is going to be absolutely be key. If Blob Squad is in this game, GG, Echo Fox takes the win. But if Blob Squad is banned out, I think that Cloud9 is definitely going to have more than enough to get it done. When I mentioned the Zac, it's because it's just been so absolutely key in so many of the victories for Echo Fox. The Zac has played out everything that they've needed it to be. So I think that if you get rid of that for Cloud9, well, Licorice has shown before that he can absolutely handle Huni in the top lane, which is maybe your scariest matchup in that game. And then what? Then you have Phoenix and Jensen in the mid lane, which you have to give Jensen the advantage for. And then in the bot lane, which yes, Altec and Adrian haven't looked like they've been outclassed by anybody, we're going up against the bot lane that I think has performed the best so far this split in Smoothie and Sneaky. So I absolutely will give the advantage to C9, but they are definitely going up against a team that can take them down if they have Zac. That's the key for Echo Fox.
Yeah, definitely something to look at in the draft phase. I mean, that bottom lane, you can probably cancel each other out. They're both some of the top tier bot lanes in that squad. If you're looking in that pick ban though, another champion that for Echo Fox, you should probably ban out or be picking up is Smoothie's Alistair. He has been lights out on that champion. I mean, his roams in the jungle, in the top lane, in the mid lane, across the entire map. He just looks so clean on the cow.
Yeah, it's absolutely something that he's allowed Sneaky to perform even better in the laning phase, and then out of that laning phase, Smoothie has definitely been arguably the best support at impacting the game and finding ways to set up and support his other laners as well.
Yeah, well, lots of interesting matches in NA and EU because now we're finally starting the rematches so teams can get vengeance and then teams can prove if it was kind of a one-off win. But either way, these standings in both NA and EU are going to be shaken up a bit this week with a lot of the top teams playing each other.
Definitely exciting things. And again, as you said, this is it. We're starting to see some of these rematches finally. People have been talking about best of ones. Best of ones are exciting, but one of the things that is the downside is that you don't get to see how teams adjust and the strategy that goes in after that point. Now we will start to see that, and I think that this will bring a new dimension to the games that I'm excited for.
After day one, we're officially halfway through the spring regular season, 4.5 weeks, so you can start making your MVP picks for halfway through. Yeah. You got to have a first half MVP and a second half, and then you combine them. So there's a lot of info to go off of now. Make sure you send in your questions. We're going to be answering them just in a few moments. You know, Valentine's Day, if you want to ask Mark if he'll be your Valentine, feel free to ask. You know, he can't be everyone's Valentine, but, you know, if you make a good enough case, then maybe you'll have a chance. We'll answer those in a couple minutes. But first, we got another lovely tease for you guys for our upcoming Twitch documentary. It's coming out, premiering at the end of the month, that being February, in case you somehow don't know what month we're in. It's dealing with what a lot of Twitch streamers go through on a daily basis, how much work it is to be a Twitch streamer, because it's not just all playing video games. And this particular clip has the Twitch streamer Bajira, who streams World of Warcraft, and also a little interesting side stream that he does is fitness streams. So make sure you guys check it out.
One of the things that I've been able to do on my stream is also incorporate fitness. My wife and I were fortunate enough to be able to get our own house this past year, and it's a big dream of mine to have a gym in my home. So we turned the garage into a full gym, and I've got a streaming setup out there, and then I stream and share my workouts with my viewers every day.
Set up! Push it up! You got this! Get down!
My butt was so far off that bench!
It's very important to me personally to encourage my viewers to maintain balance in their lives and have fitness and a health focus be part of that balance. By having some sort of structure and discipline based around making sure you're getting enough rest, getting enough exercise, and getting the right kind of food, or eating enough food, or the right kind of nutrition, I feel like if you sort of base your day around those kind of things and allow your day to be structured by that, you're going to have a lot better energy, you're going to have a lot better sort of focus, and you're just going to feel better and have a better attitude. If people are like, hey, I feel like I've gotten a little, as I'm getting older, I feel like I've put on a little bit extra weight, I'm like, I can help you with that. Or, I feel like I've been really stressed out, I feel like I haven't really been having enough time to take care of myself, I'm like, I can help you with that. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I have some experience, and I'm willing to share that, and it matters to me that my viewers, who allow me to do what I do, are taking care of themselves.
I'll tell you what, I thought I was looking in a mirror watching that whole video.
You know what? By looking at me, you wouldn't guess it, but I think, fitness is pretty cool, pretty fun to do sometimes. And I think that definitely having a setup where you're doing some fitness, playing some games, that's pretty good. You've got a pretty good setup right now.
Bajira's got the Gains and Games stream. Make sure you're checking him out on Twitch. He's a fantastic streamer. And again, that Twitch documentary is premiering later on this month, the last week of February. Got a lot of big name streamers on there. It's very interesting stuff. Make sure you guys check it out. We know you all watch Twitch. We know you're all spamming kappas in there.
We know you're in Twitch chat. Now it's time to watch them.
It's very interesting. Let's get to some questions on a lovely Valentine's Day. Dud190, who's better, Echo Fox or Team Vitality?
Ooh, that's a spicy question. I'm going to go with Echo Fox. I think Echo Fox has shown more of a complete team than, say, Vitality, who just, manages to absolutely smash people through their, complete outplays. But I think that Echo Fox has shown enough with their roster and how that everyone works together. You have Huni in the top lane. You've got Dardoch's abilities in the jungle and how decisive and aggressive that this team can be throughout that. I think that is the key for me. Because then when you look at Phoenix and Altec and Adrian in the bot lane, yes, they are good. They aren't great Nothing special in that regard, but nothing special is more than good enough to hold out when you have Huni and Dardoch and those type of aggressive and decisive calls that you are making. I can't stress that enough, how important those decisive aggressive calls are, because everyone's on the same page and everyone is going all in on them. And that's how Echo Fox is coming away with some of these stellar victories that we've seen so far. Echo Fox over Team Vitality.
Hey, listen, I'm not sure it's that obvious. I really like what Vitality's done, and surprisingly, they've actually out-macroed a lot of these teams. You look back to that Schalke game that they played a couple weeks ago. Schalke had no idea. They could not keep up with the rotations of Vitality, and Vitality's not afraid to go a little off meta, pull out something new, interesting. I mean, I know Zig's AP carry in the bottom lane is something we saw last year. No one's playing it in 2018. Minitroupax pulls it out, dominates. The sieging potential with that is so stupid. He just auto-attack with your passive on a turret and basically throw a satchel, and it's dead. It does like 80% of the turret's health. It's ridiculous. So I like Vitality, actually. I like what they're doing.
So Eric is off dabbing with Vitality. I've got Echo Fox. You know what, though? You're actually going to get an answer to that question most likely this year at Rift Rivals. So wait for that event. I'm thinking Vitality and Echo Fox will be there.
Sticking with Vitality and Echo Fox, do you think they'll keep performing in playoffs or pull a 2016 Immortals and choke? I could definitely see Echo Fox, when a best of series comes, to have a similar storyline to some of those Immortal squads.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why when we talk about why it's so important and why we're so excited to start seeing more of these rematch type of setups and as we get deeper into this season, is why we're excited for that. Because Echo Fox, yes, as much as I hype them up and as much as I think that this roster and the decisiveness that they can make is one of the key strengths for them, I do think that, yes, when you get into these best of 5 type of series, that Echo Fox's weaknesses can show up and teams can outplay them and out-macro them at that point. And that's where my concern would be for them. Now, is that going to happen? I don't think so. I think Echo Fox is actually strong enough to withstand that and perform better and to not fall into the same traps that Immortals did back in 2016. But that being said, there is still obviously the chance for that. And that is why I think it's important that not only for ourselves, but you, the viewers, also watch, especially this weekend's matches heading into it, because we are going to start to get those answers on how teams match up against teams that they've already played against and have had a strategy time and these VOD reviews to really prepare better.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think this is finally the split for Cloud9 to dominate and stay on top, or the unlikely powerhouse of Echo Fox going to take the split? I don't see Echo Fox going through in best ofs against some of the established orgs in NA, but this could be a split for C9 to finally win again. They haven't won in a while. 2014, the last time they've
been
won
there,
a
though.
split title. They've been there a lot, but they just
haven't got the deal
get
done
past TSM.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the type of question. I like Echo Fox's chances of being a possible contender for these finals and everything like that. But I think that, yeah, you do bring up a great point. At the end of the day, Echo Fox will have to go through some type of combination of either Team Liquid, TSM, C9, possibly even Clutch Gaming, depending on if things work out. And these are teams that can take away games from Echo Fox, and especially from even each other. So that's something that I think is going to have to be paid attention to when we get towards the playoffs, because these aren't any teams to really be, scoffing at. These are very established teams with players that have played on the world stage, all of them pretty much at the top level here. And so it's going to be something that is really an accomplishment to push through. And I think that when you talk about Cloud9, whether they're going to actually finally do something, well, they've been there the whole time. It's just a matter of actually executing and coming away from it. People forget they were very close to besting TSM in that spring split finals, and they would have been the ones heading to MSI instead. So it's certainly something to keep an eye on.
Zanya's.
Jensen.
Press on.
Just got to get it. Just
Alt.
press that R. So close.
Do you think the buffs to Baron and Elder Dragon are going to cause LCS matches to revolve more around control of those objectives, more fights at Baron, smite battles, etc.?
I think that's definitely something you could see.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the end game part of it, but I definitely know if anyone's questioning whether these type of buffs are needed, I think they definitely are. We have severely seen our game times increase, and that's not just because of, the new players on new teams. This is definitely a product of things like the stopwatch meta, Gathering Storm, all these type of changes that were made to the new rune system, have really led into longer game times to be safer and to actually maximize. But I think with these changes that we've seen, and I don't know if anyone else has really read them, some of them are very impactful type of changes that are coming to the actual Baron buff that you will receive, and then the Elder Dragon buff, and so on, the actual increasing buffs that you will receive getting further on into the games if you're getting multiple Elder Dragons. So I think that these are some good changes that we're seeing, and yeah, probably will result in seeing a heavier importance on these neutral objectives.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see teams less willing to give it away, which means
Absolutely.
probably throwing themselves into losing fights to try and force something, or maybe not as willing to trade, I don't know, a turret or an inhib for that Baron, because it's just going to result in a lot more than that on the other side.
Could turn games into a lot more of a fiesta than we've seen already.
Inferno, who's going to win MSI? The LCK.
Yeah, the LCK is definitely the answer. Who's going to MSI?
Yeah, that's a better question. And at this point, it looks like it'd be surprising if Kingzone didn't represent the LCK. And listen, there's some great top laners in EU.
Who's going to beat Khan? Who's going to beat Khan?
There's some great top laners in EU and NA, but they're going to get clobbered.
And then hold on, you beat Khan. Against all odds, you beat Khan. But then you got to beat BDD in the mid lane, and then you got to beat Prey and Gorilla in the bottom lane, all while Peanut is trying to aggressively gank you. Not going to happen. LCK, whoever they're sending, they'll win MSI.
It's boring, but life's boring sometimes, man.
Changes.
Joshua Kaisar, is Sven Skaren back to his old form?
I think that's too early to say.
What's his old form? Pre-TSM? 2016 spring TSM?
You know what, actually, we'll never know until we see him on Lee Sin again. That's when you'll know when he's back to his old form.
That's true.
Need to see that Lee Sin diving in, stealing Barons, kicking people, all those type of things. I don't know if we're seeing the old style of Sven Skaren return, but I definitely think we are seeing a much stronger performance than we saw last split. Not that hard to really be better than, but I think that he has really found his role in C9, and I think that this is a very comfortable team environment for him to start progressing and thriving again on the LCS stage.
Absolutely.
He was the best guy on Skarner. No one else looked good on Skarner last week.
Yeah.
Sven Skaren did. So that's one feather in his cap for sure.
If your name's not Sven Skaren, don't pick Skarner. Stop picking Skarner.
No
more Rengar either.
If your name
I don't want to see that.
If your name is Lyra, delete Skarner from your game.
Absolutely.
Other than that, we're fine.
How good would Apto be in competitive? I mean, you've seen a lot of solo queue heroes come. Jensen.
Definitely.
It took him a little while, but now he's established himself as one of the best mid laners in the Western scene.
He'd be very good. His mechanical skills are obviously incredibly impressive, but definitely one thing, again, people forget is the nature of how solo queue games work and what you can get away with and what you can trade for are completely different than what you would be getting on the LCS stage and how pro teams would be approaching it. So I think that would be something to really take into account on what you'd be thinking about his performance. But individually, he'd be a very strong player.
He'd be very strong. You mentioned last week that you thought Giants would collapse and fall. I did say that. I recall saying that. They went 1-1 this week. Do you think they're a top team now, or do they need more time to prove themselves? I think they do still need some more time to prove themselves, but I think some of the other teams near that top do as well. I still think G2 need to prove themselves. I think Fnatic still need to prove themselves. None of those teams have strung enough weeks together yet, except for Vitality and except for H2K, for me to really know where they sit in the standings.
Yeah, and both of those are on opposite ends of the standings.
Very opposite. North and South Pole. Due to synergy and communication issues and general team weakness, I currently have TSM finishing in 4th this split. Is that an overreaction? Do you think they'll improve, or is this likely?
I don't think that's an overreaction, and I don't think that that's really a problem either. If you're TSM, yes, everyone is so used to finishing 1, 2 at the very worst, and then obviously making it all the way through playoffs and into finals and either winning it there or not. But I think when you're talking about will TSM finish 4th and is that an overreaction? Absolutely not. When you're looking at the top right now in the LCS, you have teams like Cloud9, Echo Fox, Liquid, and those are very strong and very talented teams, and not teams that I'm saying are always going to be better than TSM and always outperforming TSM, but right now they absolutely are. So TSM falling into that spot makes a lot of sense, and when you listen to TSM themselves, they're not all that focused on getting that top spot, getting number 1, getting number 2. Their main focus, if you listen to guys like Sven talk about it, is really just making it into playoffs, and then once it's best of 5 time, they know the actual strength and talent on this roster that they are not afraid about going up against anybody. So you predicting them to finish in 4th in that point, no shame in that, no problem. I would not be worried about it, not an overreaction.
Yeah, I don't think they finish higher than 4th in the regular season. At least they could for sure.
You're already set
playoffs.
behind, so that's a big issue for them.
It's just spring. I still expect them to at least get semifinals, probably win that 3rd place match. I can't see them finishing lower than that. What did G2 do to get back to their winning ways after a faulty first 2 weeks? Well, Yanko started playing.
Yeah.
Hjarnan looks a lot better, and Wadid is actually, roaming.
Right. It
doing
wasn't
things.
just a perks show. That's what it really was. Everyone, again, has started to really find their roles and perform very well. And I think actually I really want to give credit, and I think we did this in our honors earlier in the week, was for Wonder, because Wonder definitely was a different player for G2 and really allowed them to play the map differently. A huge improvement for them is that other people are really stepping up and performing at levels that are not only just good in what you would expect for them, but actually stellar performances. And that's something that was really needed from them, because you just can't be relying upon, just perks to be your only carry, because it's too easy to then focus and shut down on these type of things. So I think that's why you're seeing an improved G2 effort.
Wonder's the best top in EU, I'm saying. Derek Harrington, was Mike Young a downgrade?
Ooh. I think right out of the gates, yes. I think Mike Young is a downgrade. Like, immediately, as far as what Sven Skjæren could have brought to this roster and this team, and what he still had to offer for him. And now whether the question is whether the community and TSM fans had soured so much, whether you could actually, recoup anything from that with Sven Skjæren is a certain question to ask. But I do think that it was initially in a downgrade. But when you talk about what Mike Young brings, he definitely brings a different style of jungler than what Sven Skjæren is. Yes, they both used to be very aggressive junglers, and Mike still is to a certain degree. But I think that when you talk about the mind that Mike brings to the game and what he can communicate with the rest of the team is definitely an asset that is in his corner that Sven Skjæren did not have with TSM. So that's where I think that part is definitely an upgrade for TSM. On the initial play, downgrade. Later on, upgrade.
Absolutely. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Bunch more questions here, so let's fire through them. A couple of Jiizuke and Minitroupax. Rookie of the split, Mini or Jiizuke? And do you think Jiizuke will win both MVP and Rookie of the split? They won't give him both. If he's going to win MVP,
that'd be spicy.
That would be spicy. Kind of unfair. You can't have both. I think if Vitality keeps playing the way they are, I'm giving MVP to Jiizuke, and I'm giving that Rookie of the split to Mini.
Yeah, that's my answer, absolutely. When we talked about it, Minitroupax was who I thought would win Rookie of the split for the EU, and he's definitely stepped up and really had that explosive performance. And then, hey, you talk about explosive performances, can't talk about that without Jiizuke. Jiizuke is an absolute Italian stud in the mid lane, 1v2s, you name it, this guy's been doing it all. Yeah, he'd be the MVP. Minitroupax is your Rookie of the split. Next question.
Yeah, Jiizuke got some of the highest kill participation in the entire league.
And he dabs.
And he dabs. Well, their whole team dabs. Only to style on other people, though, which is why I respect it. Otherwise, dabbing's dumb. If Splice plays more around early game, do you think they'd be better? If not, what do they need to do to ensure more consistency within them and win more? I don't know what to think of Splice, man. I'll be honest.
My thing is, I just don't think that their problems stop at early game. I think when you're talking about that, yes, some better early game focus could help them, but I think that their issues are just a little bit too deep right now is how this whole roster is really playing out, and it's something that is unfortunate and one that I did not expect to see play out to such underwhelming performances.
Absolutely. Ashton Johnson, given that TSM tried carry junglers and had no success, now Mike Young has done well on Sejuani. Do you think TSM is just going to let Mike play tanks and not let him be carries as they've done yearly with junglers? The problem is right now, the meta's tanks. You can't really play carries in the jungle.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're definitely going to see Mike playing more tanks, more of a priority on that, and I think that is definitely more so a thing to do with the meta than
not TSM forcing them.
Right, than anything.
They're broken.
With it. Yeah, I think, the Skarner, the Sejuanis, the rest of them, I think that's what you'll see Mike on as well. And it just because, you know what, and it's nothing about his play or anything like that. It's just what these champions and everything that they bring to a full-on team comp and how things want to work out. are just too valuable right now to pass up.
Absolutely. Master Swag King, great name.
Perfect
As
name.
always. See you around a lot. Appreciate the questions. If it was best of 3, who do you think would be first right now?
I think TSM.
Whoa!
I think TSM,
What?
best of 3s. I'm telling
Oh.
you, yes. Yes, and this is the one thing that, again, I'm high up on C9. I'm high on Echo Fox right now with these best of 1 records.
You're not going to tell me this TSM meme where they lose game 1s all the time, right?
Absolutely. You saw that last spring split when they had Wild Turtle and the issues there going on with that. This was a team that needed that extra game to get it going.
Totally different roster now.
And this is where the advantages also come in with TSM as a roster that is an organization that is so overwhelmingly prepared and better handled for all these teams with the staff that they have. That's where they get their advantages. Best of 3s, best of 5s. I would have TSM up top. I'm definitely thinking that roster would find the ways to rebound and pick up these wins in those best of 3, best of 5s type of series. But I can understand your frustration with that, Eric.
I think Cloud9 would still be first. I mean, 3 out of the 5 of them have played at Worlds together, played countless best ofs together. Sven Skaren has played plenty of best ofs in his days, in his career.
Sven Skaren was a big part of those TSM best of wins.
Yeah, when they were allegedly losing every best of 1, it's a totally different roster. You can't even compare. And Licorice, I mean, Licorice would keep playing great. Licorice, I love me some Licorice.
I've got no problem with the Cloud9 answer there, but I think that definitely would be something. If you're not going to say they're first, you definitely would have to at least admit that TSM's record would be much better than it is now.
Yeah, maybe 5.
If they were playing
maybe
best of
5
3.
and 3. Give them 5 and 3. With all the new rosters and strengths in NA, are you excited for the idea of new representation at Worlds based off performances now? Who do you think would go to Worlds?
Ooh, that would be pretty cool.
I mean, it is going to be very interesting. It's always just, you know, TSM, C9, and whatever, someone else, CLG or
the old
Immortals.
guard.
It might very well be the same, but I mean, there's going to be at least, I think, 2 very solid NA teams that are not going to get to go to Worlds because there's not enough spots.
Yeah,
Not enough spots.
But hey, welcome to what, you know, how life is tough sometimes. You think those LCK teams that finished, you know, 4th and 5th would like to go to Worlds and maybe see if they could stunt on some people too. So it's definitely going to be something to watch.
When TSM and C9 play, should TSM focus more resources to the top lane, especially with Haunser's recent performance? I think Licorice has shown he's okay at getting camped.
Yeah.
He can win 1v1s.
I don't think you're going to be creating any type of real advantage there.
Depends on the matchup.
You're right, of course. It depends on the draft and the champions and everything like that. But I think that might be a waste of time. I don't think that's where you really should be trying to put all of your attention and eggs into the basket of that game.
Here's a hot take. One of them is going to be paying Gangplank, or it's going to be banned. Hot take. Hot take.
Oh, that's a real shocker.
This one's right for you. Can SKT climb back?
Yes.
3 and 5?
I've said it. Yes, they can.
They got a week off to bond.
Are they going to win? Probably not.
So what's climbing back?
Climbing
Playoffs?
back into playoffs, possibly climbing that gauntlet. You never know what happens when they get into that. Yes, this SKT team will find themselves climbing back up the ladder, picking up those wins, getting back into the playoffs. From there, I can't give you any guarantees.
No guarantees. Okay, very last one. I think we kind of touched on it. C9 Echo Fox, who's winning? Real quick.
I
You already
told
said that? One sentence. Did you say C9 or Echo Fox? I don't remember.
I said C9.
C9. All right. C9's going to win. That's all the time we got for questions. Thank you very much for sending them in. As always, apologies that we weren't able to get them all, but shoot us a tweet at SC Esports and we will reply to your question on there. But before we get out of here, we've got to say that you've got to try out DX Racer chairs.
Oh,
you know why?
For sure.
Because they're extremely comfortable. They have lumbar support that's removable. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. It comes off. And if you use the promo code SHOTCALLERS, you're going to get 15% off any DX Racer product. And what better gift for your Valentine than a nice red DX Racer chair? Am I right?
I can't argue with you otherwise. I don't know if anyone's aware of it, if anyone here is really good at math. I'm not the best at math.
I'm really good at math.
But I can tell you what, 15% off, that's practically free. That's
Yeah.
pretty much free.
I just did the math. That checks out.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend using our code to pick up a DX Racer chair for yourself. It's a great chair. And 15% off, that's basically free.
Absolutely.
Win-win.
Win-win. We hope you guys have a wonderful Valentine's Day evening, whatever that entails. Eating chocolate, buying flowers, running around, or just watching TV. It's all a win
Who knows?
in my books. Thanks again for sending all the questions. Check us out on YouTube and Twitter, Shot Callers Esports. We'll be back on Monday for some Week 5 power rankings in NA and EU. I expect a lot of movement in both regions.
Hitting the true halfway point there with it.
The true halfway point. So we will be breaking all that down on Monday, 3 p.m. on Get Boosted. But until then, enjoy the LCS games this weekend. We'll see you Monday.